तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and we make a restart of chapter 22, Advice to an Actor. That is the conversations of Saturday, May 24, 1884. In the Bengali book, Panchavinsha Parichet of the continuing chapter, on the page 426, according to my book. So, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small coach in his room. Rakhal, M, and several other devotees were present. Perhaps being a Saturday or summer vacation, I don't know. A special work, that is the reason. A special worship of Kali had been performed in the temple the previous night. That is called Palaharini Kali Puja. That is done. In connection with the worship, a theatrical performance of the Vidya Sundar. Vidya Sundar is the title of a drama. Had been staged in the Nath Mandir, the hall connected with the Kali temple. The master had watched a part of it that morning. So throughout the night it was going on. Towards early morning, Thakur had attended. The actors came to his room to pay him their respects. They were all devotees. The master, in a happy mood, became engaged in conversation with a fair-complexioned young man who had taken the part of Vidya and played his part very well. That is, male actors taking the part of female. That was quite conversant. Female actress taking the part of male also was conversant. And that is why the boy is described as young man, fair-complexioned young man. He was suitable for that female part. Master, to the actor, your acting was very good. If a person excels in singing, music, dancing, or any other art, performing art, so acting is one of the arts. And in that acting, he had to sing also quite a bit. Singing and music is separately mentioned. Oh, that is instrumental music. By music here is meant instrumental music. Vocal or instrumental music dancing, or any other art. acting. He can also quickly realize God, provided he strives sincerely. So, two different issues. Provided he strives sincerely. That is the main part for realizing God. But the asset which he has is performing an art very well, and especially music, instrumental, vocal, dancing. These are arts. Now, how the dance started? From Bhagavan Shiva himself. He danced, and we are all trying to copy his dance. Why he danced? Because he was full of inner joy. When the inner spiritual joy of experiencing Godhood in himself rises, then a man's movements change and he dances. So that is how the dance started. So in Sri Ramakrishna's life, we see Swami Vivekananda is calling him Sarva Vidya Sahai. That is, he showed. Vidya means these arts. That all the arts can be made instrument of experiencing God. So, and Sri Ramakrishna has not learned in any school, but being God himself incarnate, so it was natural and automatic with him. He could sing very well. He did not play any instrument, but he could know the value of the instrument playing. And dancing, acting from his childhood, he was very good in mimicry, one thing. And if he heard any drama, he would remember the entire thing and he gathered his school friends and went to a forest nearby. And there he became the producer, director, chief actor, and text writer, or whatever he has heard, he could remember and he could teach it to the boys. And when they were acting, the passers-by were charmed. So he has shown that these arts, if directed towards God, can help you in realizing God. Because the bhava is there. And you have been able to catch the central idea, the bhava. And you have been able to translate it. Why you have been able to translate it? Because your hold on your present state of the body and mind is not very strong. You can release it and play and sing according to the bhav of that drama. So, Sri Ramakrishna says that anyone practicing any of these arts, if striving sincerely for God realization, because that is a different field. I want to change my consciousness. I want to change the very level of consciousness on which I am existing. I want to transcend and I want to reach God. So that is the main thing. And for that, we have to strive, we have to struggle. But if these assets are there, ability to flow in a bhava through performing arts, then that is easy for him. Sri Ramakrishna also has said that if one can cook very nicely, he can also realize God. So that also requires concentration of the mind, love. And so these are the assets a man possesses. But in this Thakur's teaching, there is another side also. If you have this, please turn your mind to God. It will be easier for you. So that side also we have to observe. And so he says to that actor, your acting was good, was very good. If a person excels in vocal or instrumental music, dancing, or any other art, he can also quickly realize God, provided he strives sincerely. Now he is explaining to him. Just as you practice much in order to sing, dance, and play, so they have to practice quite a bit, get corrected now and then, and practice so that it comes in their heart, and play on instruments. So one should practice the art of fixing the mind on God. So that is also an art. Fixing the mind on God is an art, and you should practice that. One should practice regularly such disciplines as worship, japa, and meditation. Worship is the external form of devotion. When practiced regularly, it connects our mind with God, and real love of devotion is grown. And japa. Japa is the repetition of name or mantra of God. And when the repetition is done with love, and it generates tremendous concentration also, if done with love, then that one should do. And meditation. Meditation is through all this fixing the mind on God. Now, there are external conditions. So Thakur is asking him, are you married? Any children? Though he was a boy, but those were the days when the marriages took place very early in life, and there was every chance that there were children also, and then that would hamper the spiritual life, but way has to be found out through that also. That is the purpose of Thakur asking him. Actor, yes, sir. I had a girl who died. So, married, obvious? Yes, sir. And children, I had a girl who died. Another child has been born. So, in that young age, he has the experience of the death of a near relative, his girl, his daughter, and also the birth. Master, a death and a birth, and all so quickly. Young boy, you are so young. There is a saying, my husband died just after our marriage. There are so many nights for me to weep. Is that correct according to the Bengali? I felt a little differently. Sanj sakale bhatar malo. Sakal in Bengali is not like the Marathi word sakal. Sakal means still time is there. That means early. Sanj sakali. That means in Marathi it will have no meaning. Evening and morning. No. The beginning of evening. Sanj, evening. Sanj sakale, that means in the very beginning of evening. Bhatar malo, one's husband died. Now one is expected to weep at least throughout the night. Next day is a different thing. Now suppose I'll tell you how this thing conveys. Suppose the husband and died in midnight. So from there to early morning, they have to weep. Now the husband has died in the very beginning of evening. So from there, the whole night they have to weep. So this is what that line means. Now this is similar that if the husband has died in the immediately after marriage, but that does not say so. And then whole life I have to weep. Because in those days, widows never remarry. So the inner spirit I told you, you are no doubt realizing the nature of worldly happiness. So this has come as a God-given experience to you in your early life. The world is like a hawk plum. Bengali word is amda. There is a fruit, very sour, skin and stone. Very little or zero pulp inside. So that Thakur is comparing in English hawk plum. The hawk plum has only pit and skin, and after eating it, you suffer from colic. Kele petshur. Because of his acute acidity, if you take it, you will have colic. That is the nature of the world. Enjoyment very little. And if you try to enjoy, misery. Appearance of enjoyment, but with so many difficulties like that stone and dry skin outside. That is the nature of enjoyment in the world. Very little enjoyment. And if you take colic, that means if you enjoy, then suffering. That has come to you as experience in an early age. You are an actor in the theater. So, profession, householder life, profession, and from there, way to God. That is what Thakur will show you. You are an actor in the theater, that's fine. But it is a very painful profession. Profession itself is painful. Now, it should include both the worldly life and profession. Every profession has its own difficulties. So, very painful profession. Oh, he says profession. But it is a very painful profession. You are young now, so you have a full round face. Afterwards, there will be hollows in your cheeks. That is what will happen. Almost all actors become like that. They get hollow cheeks and big bellies because they don't find time to exercise. They don't find to digest food properly. Their diet is spoiled. Why did I stay to watch your performance? I found the rhythm, the music. Now the positive side, huh? The rhythm, the music, and the melody all correct. So that is the main point in Thakur singing, though he has not learned anywhere. He said the melody and the rhythm. If these are correct, the singing is nice. Then the Divine Mother showed me that it was God alone who acted in the performance in the roles of the players. So that is Thakur's vision. Players are acting in some other character. God is acting as the players, and through the players, their characters. So that is Thakur's vision. He sees God only everywhere. That is the truth which Thakur sees. It is not Thakur's imagination. It is the truth that God is all pervading. And whatever anybody is doing, that also God is doing. And that is the ultimate truth. And Thakur has a clear perception of that. And it has come through the proper singing. So first he said that the singing was very proper. And then he says that rhythm and music. And then he saw that God through few people has acted. Actor. Now the actor is also a struggler in spiritual life. And he has difficulties, he has obstructions, and that he puts before Sri Ramakrishna. Sir, what is the difference between lust and desire? Lust and desire. Lust, I told you, is the most acute form of subject and object consciousness. If I am a subject and the world are objects, there is an intensity of attraction between the subject and object, and that is called lust or kam. And then kamanas or desires are little, I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to do this, I want to do that, also depend upon the same subject and object consciousness. Now, what is the difference between these two? He has asked. Master, lust is like the root of the tree, and desires are branches and twigs. So lust is the root of the tree. That means all desires end in calm. From calm, all desires take form. All desires culminate in calm, and from calm, all the desires take form. One cannot completely get rid of the six passions. Now, along with this calm, in this subject-object form of life, there is krodh, anger, greed, intoxication, delusion, and jealousy. So these are the six enemies of man. One cannot completely get rid of these six passions. In the beginning, lust, anger, greed, and the like. He has not counted all the six and the like, he says. Therefore, one should direct them to God. You see, in the Narad Bhakti Sutras, if the kamanas are excessive, one tries to reduce them. But the fundamental, because of the very nature of our ignorance, wrong knowledge, we find we are the subjects living in the world of objects. So these are the basic things. Now, basic things exist so long as we are having wrong knowledge. If we direct all these to God, that means we are subjects living in the midst of objects. If instead of those objects, we make God as our object, God is not the object. God is the reality of the subject as well as the object. But in place of objects, if we keep God, then He will swallow all our desires, all our passions. That is the big difference. And that is the solution of the problem. The very fundamental urges, six, they cannot be completely eradicated by means of the world. But if you direct them to God, all they will be absorbed. Nothing will remain. That is the solution. If you must have desire and greed, then you should desire love of God and be greedy to attain Him. Greed means more and more. So you should have greed that I should realize God and I should be desiring God. If you must be conceited and egotistic, that Muhammad, etc., then feel conceited and egotistic, thinking that you are the servant of God, the child of God. So ego is not due to I am strong in body, good in looking, intelligent, can feel. That ego will kill you. But the ego, because I am the son of God, I am the devotee of God, so that ego gets translated. The center of life shifts to God. A man cannot see God unless he gives his whole mind to Him. So if something remains outside, the thread does not pass through the needle. So the whole mind should go to God. So no other objects remain. God becomes the only object and all subject-object consciousness itself becomes solid. The mind is wasted on woman and God. Wasted. Because the objects will remain objects, you will remain the subject, and that will go on increasing, that will never subside. Both the objects of enjoyment and the means of the enjoyment, they will never subside, and you will be spoiled, wasted. Take your own case. You have children and are occupied with the theater. The mind cannot be united with God on account of these different activities. He has simply asked the difference between Kam and Kamana. But in that, Thakur has found that he is striving for God realization. And therefore, all this advice. So I have been taught that the real Guru does not reply to the question. He replies to the questioner, the mind of the questioner. From where that question has come, he sees, and he replies to that. It is not like in the examination, tick mark ABC. No, not that time. The mind of the questioner has to be replied, has to be satisfied, has to be turned in the upward direction. And so we see that his question is only Kamana and Kam. And Thakur is finding that he is struggling to go to God. And that is why he is describing all this with his own life as an example. The mind cannot be united with God on account of these different activities. So, we are engaged in karma, different, then the mind goes there. But if everything is turned to God, then it will be absorbed. As long as there is bhoga, there will be less of yoga. Yoga is union with God, bhoga is enjoyment of objects. Furthermore, bhoga begets suffering. That is the inevitable of every bhoga, that it begets suffering. This should be a form of mental input. It is said in the Bhagavata that the Avadhuta chose a kite as one of his 24 gurus. There is story of Avadhuta Dattatreya. And he got taught. They did not teach him. He was an enlightened man. So he learned from some of the objects of the world. So in that, if you want to know little more about this Avadhuta, well, it is described like this. There was a sage Atri, his wife Anasuya, free from jealousy, free from the passions. And because of her one-pointed devotion to her husband, the husband was gaining in power. And the gods, selfish they were, and they thought that one day he will take our position. So they wanted that this one-pointed devotion of the wife should be destroyed somehow or other. So they requested the Trimurti, that is the three forms of God, creator, preserver, and destroyer, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, to do something about it. Now the three gods assume the form of beggars, went to her house when Atri was not present, and begged for alms. She said, okay, I will come and give you alms. Wait there. They said, no, we have a condition. You should give alms putting off all your clothes. They thought by that way they will divert her attention. But she was so firm in her devotion to her husband. She remembered her purity and said, all right, come, I'll give, as you wish. And when she put off all her clothes, by the force of her purity, the three gods became three little children. And at that point, Atri came back. Now they are their children. Atri said, it's difficult for me to nourish three children. Please become one. So they fused together. That is called Datta Atreya, given by gods to Atri. And that man's other name became Avadhuta, washed off. No touch of attachment, washed clean. And he was a wise person, automatically Brahma Vishnu Mahesh. And he went about as a sannyasi, unattached to anything, and whatever he saw in nature, he drew his own lessons from that. That is the whole story. And like that, he made 24 gurus. So out of that 24, it is said in the Bhagavata that the Avadhuta chose a kite as one of his 24 gurus. Kite, the name of a bird of prey. The kite had a fish in its beak. So it was surrounded by 1,000 crows. Whichever way it flew with the fish, the crows pursued it, crying caw caw. When all of a sudden the fish dropped from its beak, the crows flew after the fish, leaving the kite alone. So from that, Avadhuta learned that if you keep objects of enjoyment, you will be troubled by the world. If you give them up, you will be free. The fish is the object of enjoyment. The crows are worries and anxieties, not other people. Worries and anxieties are inevitable with enjoyment. Whether this will be taken away by somebody, that is the worry and anxiety. Whether I will be able to enjoy or somebody will take it away. So that worries and anxieties are inevitable with enjoyment. No sooner does one give up enjoyment than one finds peace. So he is teaching that boy. What is more, money itself becomes a source of trouble. Brothers may live happily, but they get into trouble when the property is divided. Dogs lick one another's bodies. They are perfectly friendly. But when the householder throws them a little food, they get into a quarrel, scrap. So enjoyment or money leads to quarrel. Shankara said in the Bhaja Govindam, Artham Anartham Bhavaya Nityam. Every day, always think that wealth is a nuisance. Nasti tata sukhalesha satyam, in that there is no element of happiness. He has given the example that a father fears his sons also if he has wealth. Come here now and then. So, come here now and then. You will get more instructions, more illumination. One single question. And they came to pay him respect and asked the question. And Thakur is telling all this. Pointing to him and others, they come here on Sundays and other holidays. That day was a Saturday, but because of Kali Puja, and he says holidays, Sundays and holidays. Actor. We have holidays for 3 months during the rainy and harvest season. There is no other holiday. There is no Sunday. It is our good fortune to be able to visit you. On our way to Dakshineshwar, we heard of 2 persons, yourself and Gyana Arnava. Thakur ignores that other man's reference, and it seemed that they had not known Sri Ramakrishna before. On the way they heard about him, they were invited by the temple authorities to perform the drama. Master, be on friendly terms with your brothers. So one should not have quarrel within the family. It looks well. That means the life is smooth. You must have noticed in your theatrical performance that if 4 singers sing each in a different way, the play is spoiled. Harmony should be there. Actor, yes, sir. Many birds are trapped in a net. If they all fly together and drag the net in the one direction, then many of them may be saved. but that doesn't happen if they try to fly in different directions. So he has also knows an example. One also sees in a theatrical performance a person keeping a pitcher of water on its head and at the same time dancing above. So more than one thing is taken care of. Master, live in the world, but keep the pitcher steady on your head. That is to say, keep the mind firmly on God. So Thakur translates it in a spiritual way. I once said to the sepoys from the barracks, do your duty in the world, but remember that the pestle of death will sometime smash your head. Be alert about it. So this is an example Thakur is telling now. In Kamarpukur, I have seen the women of carpenter families making flattened rice with a husking machine. One woman kicks the end of the wooden beam, kicks. पा दिए डेगी डिपे हो. You see, in that method is that in the ground itself they dig like the pestle, mortar. And the pestle is a very huge stick. So on the ground level, it is to be made going into that pit by foot. So one woman is doing that, kicking it to go into that hole. The other woman, one woman kicks the end of the wooden beam, and another woman, while nursing her baby, turns the paddy in the mortar dug in the earth. Mortar is dug in the earth, and the paddy, for proper husking, the paddy has to be turned like this, like this. So the pestle will do its work. The second woman is always alert, lest the pestle of the machine should fall on her hand. With the other hand, she fries the soaked paddy in a pan. So the paddy has first to be fried, then heat upon. So that also she is doing by other hand. Besides, she is talking with the customers. She says, you owe us so much money. Please wait before you go. Likewise, so this is the example he has given. How many things that woman is doing, but her main concentration is that the pestle should not fall on her hand. Nursing the baby, frying, talking with the devotees, with the customers. Likewise, so there is a possibility that amongst various activities of life, one can keep concentrated on God. For that, he has shown this example. Main concentration is on that pestle. So main concentration should be on God. Do your different duties in the world, fixing your mind on God. But practice is necessary, and one should also be alert. Two things. Practice is necessary, singing of God, taking his name, all that. And alertness that one should not get entangled in the world. Only in this way can one safeguard both God and the world. So your activities in the world will go on, but your mind will be on God. Now the actor asks some philosophical questions. Actor, sir, what is the proof that The soul is separate from the body. Master, proof. So proof is not intellectual. And so Thakur says proof, God can be seen. So the proof in experiencing spiritual truth, God can be seen, then you will find that Atman is different from the body. By practicing spiritual discipline, one sees God. So proof, Thakur's exclamation proof means intellectually it is not proved anything. One sees God through His grace. The rishis directly realize the self. That is the proof. One cannot know the truth about God through science, physical sciences, because it deals with five senses only. Science gives us information only about things perceived by the senses. Thakur is so clear on that point. As for instance, this material mixed with that material gives such and such a result, and that material mixed with this material gives such and such a result. That is what chemistry or physics will do. For this reason, a man cannot comprehend spiritual things with his ordinary intelligence. So proof, etc., is not possible by the ordinary intelligence, which depends upon the data given by the five senses. To understand them, he must live in the company of holy persons who have experienced God, whose life is God-oriented. With their company, if he lives, he'll understand these subtler things. You learn to feel the pulse by living with a physician. This is the Indian method, Nadi Pariksha. The Ayurvedic doctors, I think I told you some examples sometimes. Now to the allopathic doctors, if you tell your symptoms, they will get you pathologically tested and then conclude. If you tell the homeopath, he will ask more symptoms, fractional symptoms, symptoms of your father, grandfather, your mother. But if you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he just asks you to give your hand to him and he puts his 3 fingers on the hand. Now inside the pulse is going on. And from those pulse beats, he can understand. The Ayurveda conceives a man to have 3 humors, they say, kapha, pitta, vata. So which of them has become irregular? Which part of the body it has become irregular? Everything they come to know through the pulse beats. No, they cannot write in books all these things. So you live with them. Then slowly, slowly, you will also gain the mastery over that with them. They will show you. Put your hand, it is like this. It is like this, it is like this. So that is how it has to be learned. You learn to feel the pulse by living with a physician. Actor, yes sir, now I understand. So he had a good perception. Thakur told him there is no intellectual proof, but God can be realized. And if you stay with a man of realization, you will understand the subtle objects of the world, not science. Very clear. Science has nothing to do with spirituality. It depends upon 5 senses. And spirituality means transcending the senses. Master, you must practice tapasya, austerity, control of the senses, Only then can you attain the goal. It will avail you nothing even if you learn the text of the scriptures by heart. You cannot become intoxicated by merely saying Siddhi over and over. Siddhi is the opium, the bhang, and that by uttering the name, nothing will happen. You have to powder it, you have to take it. So, you must swallow some. One cannot explain the vision of God to others. One cannot explain conjugal happiness to a child 5 years old because he has no idea of that. An example which married people can understand. Actor. How does one realize the Atman? Just then Rakhal was about to take his meal in the master's room. He hesitated at the sight of so many people. During those days, the master looked on Rakhal as Gopal and on himself as Mother Yashoda. Master to Rakhal, why don't you eat? Let the people stand aside if you wish it. To a devotee, keep some ice for Rakhal. To Rakhal, do you intend to go to Vanahugli? Don't go in this sun. Rakhal sat down to his meal. Sri Ramakrishna again spoke to the actor. They shifted their place of talk. Master, why didn't all of you take your meal from the kitchen of the Kali temple? That would have been nice. Actor, all of us don't have the same opinion about food, so our food is cooked separately. All don't like to eat in the guest house. While Rakhal was taking his meal, the master and the devotees sat on the porch and continued their conversation. Master to the actor, you asked me about self-realization. So after that question, meals and all that, Rakhal, so they shifted the place and Thakur remembered that. Longing is the means of realizing Atman. Yame Vesha Vrunute Tena Labhya. Longing is the only means of realization. A man must strive to attain God with all his body, with all his mind, with all his speech. So no other thought should remain. Then only he will attain. Because of an excess of bile, one gets jaundice. Pitta, when it grows, everything appears yellow. Then one sees everything as yellow. One perceives no color but yellow. Among you actors, those who take only the rules of those who take only the roles of women acquire the nature of a woman. By thinking of women, your ways and thoughts become womanly. Just so by thinking day and night of God, one acquires the nature of God. Okay. And what is our real nature? So it becomes very natural. So one must think of the qualities of God, read scriptures, hear from holy people. The mind is like white linen, just returned from the laundry. It takes on the color you dip it in. Now the actor catches the point that it is from the laundry. actor, but it must first be sent to the laundry. Master, yes. First is the purification of the mind. Afterwards, if you direct the mind to the how many ways of God relation to how many people Thakur is showing. Afterwards, if you direct the mind to the contemplation of God, it will be colored by God. It will be colored by God consciousness. The main thing is the bodha. The consciousness has to be changed. Again, if you direct the mind to worldly duties, such as the acting of a play, it will be colored by worldliness. So that talk with the actor is over here. Tomorrow being Wednesday, we'll resume this on Thursday. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhuridajana Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.